this next video, I will show you how to use Google Scholar. You'll find that it helps you retrieve sources much faster. However, there are 1,000 times more on the topic. It's much harder to figure out how to find relevant sources, and oftentimes students experience information overload. So I'll show you some tips to help mitigate this stress. The first step to using Google Scholar is to actually retrieve it from the library website. Some of you may just Google it, but the problem with that is that Google Scholar won't give you as many articles for free. Our library subscribes to Google Scholar, so you can have those articles for free. They won't buy all of them for you. However, if there's anything you want, you can simply go to Interlibrary Loan from the library website. You'll need to log in and then simply fill out the form in order to request the actual article. You don't have to fill out all the boxes, just whatever is red starred, and then submit request. Within 1 to 3 days, you'll receive an email with the actual article. Consequently, you should always plan accordingly and do your research early because you may have to request an article or two. All right, so to access Google Scholar from the library homepage, you'll need to click on Databases, find G for Google Scholar, scroll down, and click on Google Scholar. From here, you'll want to bookmark this. And so I'm on Google Chrome, so you can hit the star here. If you're in Safari, you can select bookmark, and you'll want to save this so it appears on your toolbar, because for the next 4 years, you're going to be using Google Scholar for different classes. What's most important is that in the actual address up here, that you see eproxy.edu. And so without that, that means you're not using the actual library to use Google Scholar. And if you don't see this eproxy.ithaca.edu, then you may be prompted to pay for particular articles. And so you definitely want to double check that to make sure you're on the right version of Google Scholar. Now that I'm on the home page of Google Scholar through the proxy, as indicated up here, I can actually type in my full question that I had asked before. Remember, with the library website, you're more likely to find articles if you use words like and, snowplow parents, and anxiety, and children. But with Google Scholar, you can go ahead and just type your entire question. I see up here that I have over 17,000 results. That's way too many. But right here at the top, I find an article that seems to be addressing exactly what I'm looking for. And so I look at the publication source, New York Times, so that's a credible and reliable source, and it was published in 2019. That's a good sign because, as I talked about before, this is a relatively new term and concept. And the next number that we want to pay attention to is the cited by number. Here it states that it's been cited by 6 different people. That's not a large number, but that's not too surprising because it was just recently published, so it hasn't made the rounds, essentially. Also, it's a newspaper article, and so many researchers will cite other research articles. But it's a good sign, and so what I want to do is I don't want to click on this. I want to go right-click and open it up as a new tab, and it's going to appear here. So as a researcher, I'm going to open up all my tabs to the right, and then later I can go and click through it. Because it's really easy if you just click on one source and keep clicking and clicking and getting deeper and deeper into the rabbit's hole. It's really, really difficult to find your way back to the original search page. And sometimes you forget what you were looking for from the start. And so I see here, these are the 6 sources that cited it. And I can go through and review each of these 6. And it's a relatively small number, okay? And so let me go back to my main list here before I go through those 6. And so I come down and I'm looking through, and then lo and behold, I find that one article that we found on the library website, Hovering Too Close, The Ramifications of Helicopter Parenting. And this one was cited by 59. Obviously, 59 is higher than 6. However, we already found that an article from a law review wasn't a good fit. It was not relevant to my question. However, from this 59, we may find a particular article that could be relevant to our query. Again, I right-click, open it up as a new tab. I have 59 results to look through. So what I can do is narrow that further. So I can click on this box, search within citing articles. So you must click that box in order to search within this list. And I can type in snowplow parent. And I find 2 articles that talked about that. And we have Toying with Privacy, Regulating the Internet. Again, sounds like it's dealing with legal issues. That's not what I'm looking for. And here's a book about the relationship to health behaviors during emerging adulthood. That actually does sound relevant to what I'm researching. I can click on this ProQuest link or a full view link to skim the actual book to see if it's relevant to my research. I can also alter the actual search term. And here I find with these words 2 different results. Parenting to a degree, focusing on college women's success. I was focusing more just on kids or adolescents in general. And here's a book about the myth of the spoiled child. That could be relevant. So I might want to check that out and look through that book. One caveat about actual books, you'll see lots of Google books in Google Scholar, is that Google will not give you the entire book. If you're lucky, they give you access to the introduction. And oftentimes, when looking through books, that's really all you need is to read the introduction. If at any point you arrive to a page like this, where you're not given access to that particular page or several pages, and it's within a chapter that's perfect for your research, then you're going to need to request that book from the library or find an online version of it. The problem is that you cannot cite or reference a chapter only having read a few paragraphs or pages of that chapter, because all it's going to take for one person who's very, very familiar with that chapter or that book, for instance, to read what you've summarized or quoted in your research and find that you took something out of context and that you're actually misrepresenting that source. And so without the whole chapter, you don't really know the author's full purpose and objective. So it's essential you have the whole chapter. And so do not actually reference or cite a chapter if you've been denied access to the whole thing. So that's absolutely essential, because as soon as you misrepresent something and you have a fact checker out there reviewing your work closely, then your ethos and authority and credibility as a writer has been compromised. And who's going to trust what you have to write from then on? Okay, so I'm going to go back to that original tab where I started my research. And it looks like on this first page, really there were only 2 reasonable sources. I came into a dead end. I arrived to a dead end with this hovering too close article. And I go on to now the next page, and I can skim through this next page. Typically, when you're in Google Scholar, if you're not finding anything relevant after the first 2 or 3 pages, then it's time to modify your search terms. But as you recall, we did find something with these 6 sources. So I'm going to go to that tab that I had opened recently. So within these 6 sources, I scroll down and I find this article, Helicopter Parenting and the Mental Health of iGen College Students. This seems exactly what I'm looking for. So it seems like a perfect source. So I want to click on View It at IC Library. And again, I right click because I don't want to lose this list of 6, and I can go through and skim through the other 5 to see if I can find relevant sources. I'm redirected to the library website, and it indicates that it's available online. I come to the list of databases, and I see right away psychology database, and that's a really good sign because again, I'm looking for an article related to mental health issues. So I'm going to click on psychology database. So within the library database, it's indicating that 0 results were found. I can go back to the actual title of the article, and I can copy and paste it into that search box. And here I have 30 results, but I don't have the actual article that I'm looking for. I can return to my list of databases and click on each one of these to determine whether the article is within these other databases. And once again, I'm returned to the same database that we were at before. And then when I click on the third one, and once again, I'm redirected to the same database. So it appears that the library, in fact, does not have that article. However, I am in the psychology database. So there are 30 other articles here on this particular topic. So I just typed in the title of that article, and then lo and behold, I'm finding at least 10, 15 articles that are exactly what I was hoping to find on my particular topic. And so for my research, I can actually retrieve everything I want from this list of 30. Now, let's say I still want that actual article because the title just sings to me and it sounds exactly what I'm looking for. And so all I have to do is go back to the library homepage. I scroll down to the bottom, click Interlibrary Loan. After I sign in, I'm redirected to this page. I click on article. I simply copy and paste the journal title and then the article title. So I only have to add 2 or 3 bits of information and then I submit it. And within a couple of days, you'll get an email with an attachment to that actual article. The library tends to have a pretty quick turnaround, but you do need to make these requests early on. In the event that you obtain an error, you can go to the regular Google Scholar. You can see here there's no proxy, and then search through the results. I obtained 407 results, and the links here show which ones you can actually download. So there won't be as many as you can tell, but there are some. And so you can always gamble and use the regular Google Scholar without the proxy. The next step is for you to visit the Sakai website to take the quiz on this topic. Afterwards, your assignment is to find one article from Google Scholar and upload it to the Google Drive folder. Go to the Google Drive folder, Project 3.0, find your folder, click on it, and then upload the actual PDF of your article. By the end of Thursday, the 26th, you need to locate at least one article from Google Scholar, as well as one article from the library website. Next, watch the third video in this series, How to Find a Reliable Source on Wikipedia.